All right. Well, I wanted to start this for a while, but my wife borrowed it, and I learned a valuable lesson not to let her borrow my books before I read them. So I could have read this twice at my pace. No, I'm just kidding. She found an interest in it, and I wanted to let her read it. Anyways, Theogony of Hesiod. What was that? 730 to 700 BC. You don't know what it is? Look into it. The beginning. Let us begin to sing from the Heliconian Muses, who possess the great and holy mountain of Helicon, and dance on their soft feet around the violent dark fountain and the altar of Cronus, mighty sun. And after they have washed their tender skin in Permissus, or Hippocrene, or holy Olymius, they perform choral dances on highest Helicon, beautiful, lovely ones, and move nimbly with their feet. Starting out from there, shrouded in thick invisibility by night, they walk, sending forth their very beautiful voice, singing of Aegis holding Zeus and queenly Hera of Argos, who walks in golden sandals, and the daughter of Aegis holding Zeus, bright-eyed Athena and Phoebus Apollo, and arrow-shooting Artemis, and earth-holding, earth-shaking Poseidon, and venerated Themis, Justice, and quick-glancing Aphrodite, and golden-crowned Hebe, youth and beautiful Dion, and Leto, and Iapetus, and crooked-counseled Cronus, and Eos dawn, and the great Hylas sun, and gleaming Selene moon and earth, and great ocean, and black night, and the holy race of the other mortals who always are. One time they taught Hesiod beautiful song while he was pasturing lambs under holy Halcyon. In this speech, the goddess spoke first of all to me, the Olympian Muses, the daughters of Aegis holding Zeus, field-dwelling shepherds, ignoble disgraces, mere bellies. We know how to say many false things similar to genuine ones, but we know when we wish how to proclaim true things. So spoke Zeus, ready-speaking daughters, and they plucked a staff, a branch, a luxuriant laurel, a marvel, and gave it to me, and they breathed a divine voice into me, so that I might glorify what will be and what was before, and they commanded me to sing of the race of the blessed ones who always are, but always to sing of themselves first and last. But what is this to me about an oak or a rock? Come then, let us begin from the Muses, who by singing for their father Zeus give pleasure to his great mind within Olympus, telling of what is and what will be and what was before, harmonizing in their sound. Their tireless voice flows sweet from their mouths in the house of their father. Loud thundering Zeus rejoices at the goddess' lily-like voice as it spreads out, and snowy Olympus peak resounds in the mansions of the immortals. Sending forth their deathless voice, they glorify in their song first the venerated race of the gods from the beginning, those to whom earth and broad sky give birth, and those who were born from these, the gods givers of good things. Second, then the goddesses, both beginning and ending their song, sing of Zeus, the father of gods and of men, how much he is the best of the gods and the greatest in supremacy, and then singing of the race of human beings and of the mighty giants. They give pleasure to Zeus, mind with Olympus, the Olympian Muses, the daughters of Aegis holding Zeus. Mnemosyne, memory, bore them in Pieria, mingling in love with their father Cronus' son, Mnemosyne, the protectress of the hills of Eleuther, of forgetfulness of the evils and relief from the anxieties. For the counselor Zeus slept with her for 9 nights, apart from the mortals going up. Damn, these are hard books. That's all right, because if I pick it, I'm going to finish it. For some reason, I wanted to pick it. I got to read it. I don't know why. It's just the way it goes. So you just happen to watch. That's the way it goes. Apart from the immortals going into the sacred bed, and when a year had passed and the seasons had revolved as the months waned and many days had been completed, she bore 9 maidens, like-minded ones, who in their breast care for song and have a spirit that knows no sorrow, not far from snowy Olympus' highest peak. That is where their bright choral dances and their beautiful mansions are, and besides them the Graces and Desire have their houses and joyous festivities. And the voice they send forth from their mouths as they sing is lovely, and they glorify the ordinances and the cherished usages of all the immortals, sending forth their lovely voice. They went towards Olympus at that time, exulting in their beautiful voice with a deathless song, and around them the black earth resounded as they sang, and from under their feet a lovely din rose up as they traveled to their father. He is king in the sky, holding the thunder and the blazing thunderbolt himself, since he gained victory and supremacy over his father Cronus. And he distributed well all things alike in the mortals and devised their honors. These things, then, the Muses sang, who have their mansions on Olympus, the 9 daughters born of the great Zeus, Clio glorifying, and Euterpe well delighting, and Thalia blooming, and Melpone singing, and Terpsichore delighting to dance, and Erato lovely, and Polymnia many hymning, and Orena heavenly, and Calliope beautiful voiced. She is the greatest of them all, for she attends upon venerated kings too. Whoever among Zeus nourished kings, the daughters of great Zeus, honor and behold, when he is born, they pour sweet dew upon his tongue, and his words flow soothingly from his mouth. All the populace look to him as he decides disputes with straight judgments and speaking publicly without erring. He quickly ends even a great quarrel by his skill. For this is why kings are prudent, because when the populace is going astray in the assembly, they easily manage to turn the deeds around, affecting persuasion with mild words, as he goes up to the gathering, they seek his favor like a god with soothing reverence, and he is conspicuous among the assembled people. Such is the holy gift of the Muses to human beings, for it is from the Muses and far-shooting Apollo that men are poets upon the earth and lyre players. But it is from Zeus that they are kings, and that man is blessed whomever the Muses love, for the speech flows sweet from his mouth. Even if someone who has unhappiness in his newly anguished spirit is parched in his heart with grieving, yet when a poet, servant of the Muses, sings of the glorious deeds of people of old and the blessed gods who possess Olympus, he forgets his sorrows at once and does not remember his anguish at all, for quickly the gifts of the goddesses have turned it aside. Hail, children of Zeus, and give me lovely song. Glorify the sacred race of the immortals who always are, those who were born from earth and starry sky and from dark night, and those whom salty Pontus, sea, nourished. Tell how in the first place gods and earth were born, and the rivers and the boundless sea seething with its swell, and the shining stars and the broad sky above, and those who were born from them, the gods, givers of good things, and how they divided their wealth and distributed their honors, and also how they first took possession of many-folded Olympus. These things tell me from the beginning, Muses, who have your mansions on Olympus, and tell which one of them was born first. In truth, first of all, Chasm came to be, and then broad-breasted Earth, the ever-immovable seat of all the immortals who possess snowy Olympus peak and murky Tartarus in the depths of the broad path Earth, and Eros, who is the most beautiful among the immortal gods, the limb melter. He overpowers the mind and the thoughtful counsel of all the gods and of all human beings in their breasts. From Chasm, Erebos, then Black Night came to be, and then Aether and Day came forth from Night, who conceived and bore them after mingling in love with Erebos. Earth first of all bore starry sky, equal to herself to cover her on every side, so that she would be the ever immovable seat for the blessed gods, and she bore the high mountains, the graceful haunts of the goddesses, nymphs who dwell on the wooded mountains, and she also bore the barren sea seething with its swell, Pontus, all of them without delightful love, and then, having bedded with sky, she bore deep eddying ocean, and Coeus, and Crius, and Hyperion, and Ipedius, and Thea, and Rhea, and Themis, and Mnemosyne, and golden-crowned Phoebe, and lovely Tethys. After these, Cronus was born. The youngest of all, crooked counseled, the most terrible of her children, and he hated his vigorous father. Then she bore the Cyclops, who have very violent hearts, Brontes, thunder, and Steropes, lightning, and strong-spirited Argus, bright, those who gave thunder to Zeus and fashioned the thunderbolt. These were like the gods in other regards, but only one eye was set in the middle of their foreheads, and they were called Cyclops, circle-eyed by name, since a single circle-shaped eye was set in their foreheads. Strength and force and contrivances were in their works. Then from earth and sky came forth 3 more sons, great and strong, unspeakable, Cottus and Briareus and Gyges, presumptuous children. 100 arms sprang forth from their shoulders, unapproachable, and upon their massive limbs grew 50 heads out of each one's shoulders, and the mighty strength in their great forms were immense. For all of these who came forth from sky and earth as the most terrible of their children were hated by their own father from the beginning. And as soon as any of them were born, Sky put them all away out of sight in a hiding place in earth and did not let them come up into the light. And he rejoiced in his evil deed. But huge earth groaned within, for she was constricted, and she devised a tricky, evil stratagem. At once she created an offspring of gray adamant, and she fashioned a big sickle and showed it to her own children. And she spoke, encouraging them while she grieved in her dear heart, "Children of mine and of the wicked father, obey me. If you wish, we would avenge your father's evil outrage, for he was the first to devise unseemly deeds." So she spoke, but dread seized them all, and none of them uttered a sound. But suddenly great crooked-counseled Cronus took courage and addressed his cherished mother in turn with these words: "Mother, I would promise and perform this deed, since I do not care at all about our evil-named father, for he was the first to devise unseemly deeds." So he spoke, and huge earth rejoiced greatly in her breast. She placed him in an ambush, concealing him from sight, and put into his hands the jagged-toothed sickle, and she explained the whole trick to him. And great Sky came, bringing night with him and spreading himself out around earth and his desire for love, and lay outstretched in all directions. Then his son reached out from his ambush with his left hand, and with his right hand he grasped the monstrous sickle, long and jagged-toothed, and eagerly he reaped the genitals from his dear father and threw them behind him to be borne away. But not in vain did they fall from his hand, for earth received all the bloody drops that shot forth, and when the years had revolved, she bore the mighty Erinus and the great giants, shining in their armor, holding long spears in their hands, and the nymphs whom they called the Melian ones, over the boundless earth. And when at first he had cut off the genitals with the adamant and thrown them from the land into the strongly surging sea, they were borne along the water for a long time, and a white foam rose up around them from the immortal flesh, and inside this grew a maiden. First she approached holy Cythera, and from there she went on to sea-girt Cyprus. She came forth a reverend, beautiful goddess, and grass grew up around her beneath her slender feet. Gods and men call her Aphrodite, the foreborn goddess, and the well-garlanded Cythera, since she grew in the foam, and also Cytherea, since she arrived at Cythera, and Cyprogenes, since she was born on sea-girt Cyprus, and Genial, since she came forth from the genitals. Eros accompanied her, and beautiful Desire stayed with her as soon as she was born, and when she went to the tribe of the gods, and since the beginning she possesses this honor, and has received as her lot this portion among human beings and immortal gods. Maidenly whispers and smiles and deceits and sweet delight and fondness and and gentleness. But their father, Great Sky, called them Titans, strainers, as a nickname, rebuking his sons whom he had begotten himself, for he said that they had strained to perform a mighty deed in their wickedness, and that at some later time there would be vengeance for this. Night bore loathsome doom and black fate and death, and she bore sleep, and she gave birth to the tribe of dreams. Second, then gloomy night bore blame and painful distress, although she had slept with none of the gods and the Hesperides, who care for the golden, beautiful apples beyond glorious ocean and the trees bearing this fruit. And she bore A, destinies, and B, pitilessly punishing fates, A, Clotho, spinner, and Lachesis, portion, and Atropos, inflexible, who give to mortals when they are born both good and evil to have, and B, who hold fast to the transgression of both men and gods, and the goddesses never cease from their terrible wrath until they give evil punishment to whomever commits a crime. Deadly night gave birth to Nemesis, indignation, to a woe for mortal human beings, and after her she bore deceit and fondness and baneful old age, and she bore hard hatred, strife. And loathsome strife bore painful toil and forgetfulness and hunger and tearful pains and combats and battles and murders and slaughters and strifes and lies and tales and disputes and lawlessness and recklessness, much like one another, an oath who indeed brings most woe upon human beings on the earth whenever someone willfully spears a false oath. Pontus begot Nereus, unerring and truthful, the oldest of his sons. They call him the old man because he is infallible and gentle and does not forget established customs but contrives just and gentle plans. Then, mingling in love with earth, he begot great Thamos and proud Pharisees. Is that it? Yeah. I don't know. The beautiful-cheeked Ceto and Eurbea, who has a heart of adamant in her breast. And from Nereus and beautiful-haired Doris, the daughter of Ocean, the circling river, were born numerous children of goddesses in the barren sea. Proto and Eucarante and Sao and Aphitrite and Eudora and Thetis and Galeen and Gloss, Chimotho and Swift, Spio and lovely Thalia and Pasithea and Aredo and rosy armed Eunice and graceful Melite and Eulamine and Agave and Dodo and Proto and Pharusa and Dynamene and Nasia and Astaea and Medea, Doris and Pantope and Fairform Galita, yeah, and lovely Hippoto, and rosy-armed Hippano, and Chimadoke, and together with Chimatolege, and fair-ankled Aphitrite, easily calms the waves in the murky sea and the blast of stormy winds, and Chimo, and Eon, and well-garlanded Haliamede, and smile-loving Glauconomy and Pontoporia, Legor and Igor and Lamimedia, Polyno and Autono and Lucianasa and what is that? Ungarn, lovely in shape and blameless in form. And Samaith, graceful in body and divine, Menepipi, and Nesso, and Upump, and Themisto, and Prono, and Nemeritus, infallible, who has the disposition of her immortal father. One more page. This came forth from excellent Nereus, 50 daughters who know how to do excellent works. Thamos married Electra, the daughter of deep flowing ocean. She bore swift Iris and the beautiful haired Harpies, Elio and Icipete, who with their swift wings keep up with the blasts of the winds and with the birds, for they fly high in the air. Yeah, that's how it's going to go. Just how it's going to go.